So in a surprising turn of events, Dragon Ball Heroes Big Bang Mission Episode 8 actually aired today. I could have sworn that we had heard it was going to be later on in the week, but no. Episode 8 has aired in Japan, and on this video I'll give you my thoughts on this episode. Now, when it comes to Dragon Ball Heroes, I usually set the bar pretty low. You know, it's a promotional anime. It never really has tremendous production with the exception of 1 or 2 episodes. They never have enough time to properly tell a story, and at times you have to have at least some form of backstory to truly understand everything or every aspect of it. And most of us just don't have that backstory. Even if you've played Xenoverse and you know who MIRA and TOWA are, you don't have the absolute grasp of their characters completely on the same level as somebody who's in Japan, who plays Dragon Ball Heroes and who has played it for years and years and years, may understand the character. And even though we do reviews and I do videos on all this kind of stuff, there's still a bit of a missing disconnect there with people outside of Japan. But with that in mind, the bar is usually set low because most Heroes episodes just aren't too great. I mean, they're not that interesting, but they're short enough that when you watch them, some fans may get something out of it, depending on your opinions and your level of love for certain types of fan service, because that's really what Dragon Ball Heroes is. With this episode, it was interesting because, you know, it was promoted as being Super Few versus Vegito Blue. That was the big sort of teaser that we got last month, and then, you know, the last few days or whatever. But the first sort of, I want to say, maybe not half, but the first third of this episode was a dialogue-heavy portion featuring Super Saiyan 4, or Xeno, Goku, Vegeta, Trunks. We saw the appearance for the first time of MIRA. Well, not for the first time. He was in that short, brief little cameo in that special, but we now see MIRA in the main Big Bang Mission episodes alongside TOWA here, and we see Gohan and Gotenks Xeno also appearing. So that was kind of a treat. You know, you've been following the Heroes sort of story. And then like the second half of the episode was Few versus Vegito Blue. Now I gotta say, when it came to that fight, I'll go back in a minute here, but when it came to Vegito Blue versus Few, on the level of Heroes fights, remember, we're lowering the bar here. We're not talking about Dragon Ball Super level fights, certainly not Broly. We're not talking about Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball or even GT levels of like, what a great fight, what a great back and forth struggle, battle, contest would be in these series. We're talking about Heroes where the bar has to be set low. When you have a decent animation cut or a decent choreography, it's valued a bit higher, even though it's actually valued lower because it's Heroes. So with that being said, the actual action that we saw was not that bad. It was pretty interesting seeing Few and Vegito Blue clash. Now, there were a couple of wonky animation cuts too, don't get me wrong. There was a scene where Vegito Blue did a Kamehameha, and it just looked really weird. Like the way they drew him, his face, his sort of, you know, his arms seemed a bit like lanky. I didn't like the way that looked. But it was cool because, you know, seeing Few kind of face off against Vegito Blue should tell you how strong he is, because he's not a fusion. He's got bio enhancements, but he's not a fusion, and he's hanging in there with Vegito Blue, but even he was surprised at the power of Vegito Blue. But we all know how strong Vegito Blue is, right? We know. But still, back to the animation. It varies. Like, some parts were good, some parts were a little wonky. Don't expect it to look as great as like Dragon Quest Dai or Dragon Ball Super Broly. We shouldn't. We might get lucky once in a while when Shida works on one of these cuts, but it's very rare. It was kind of funny too, because Few is fighting and his eyes turn like bloodshot red. And I'm just looking at this like, damn, like he looks like he's on something, dude. The way they actually drew it, like it was creepy. So as they're fighting or whatever, the universe tree like lights up and Few starts marking out. Then visually what we see is we see the gods of destruction. We cut to them and Whis and Vados are there, and we see the Super Shenlong, Super Shenron, aka the gigantic golden dragon from the Super Dragon Balls. No, he's not called Zarama, by the way. That was a mistranslation. His creator is Zarama, or Zalama. The dragon is just Super Shenlong, or Super Shenron, and he's been summoned. For the first time in Heroes, we're now seeing this dragon. Now, what we find out earlier, according to DBS Chronicles translations, what we find out earlier is that MIRA and TOWA are in fact not opposed to Few like we had originally thought. in this series. Obviously, in the older sort of hero stuff, the video games, the maybe even some of the later speculatory stuff from Dragon Ball Online, MIRA and TOA and Fu were aligned, but it was kind of implied there was some kind of rift here. But that does not appear to be the case, because Toa apparently tells the Time Patrol that Fu is her son, which we all kind of knew, and that he'll become the next Dark Lord. And while this is going on, like, she's got Goku Xeno and Vegeta Xeno trapped in this sort of like energy prison. He breaks out, but then MIRA shows up to freeze him in place. And then pretty much, like I said earlier, MIRA and TOA talk about how Fu is their creation, etc., etc. With the idea here being about him being the new Dark King. They're basically saying they want him to replace Mecha Kibura. And I've talked about Mecha Kibura before in the past. You know, he's one of the primary villains of the Dark Demon Empire in Heroes. I've done videos about this. Check out my Dragon Ball Heroes playlist, because it's a lot of backstory to get into, and not enough to talk about here in this video. But the idea here is that Fu will command a new demon army and, of course, rule the multiverse in all time. And yeah, that's pretty much what happens. I should comment too, you know, if my review's all over the place, I want to, you know, please excuse that. Today over here, I'm recording this on a Sunday afternoon, and I got a bunch of people over at my house. I got a bunch of stuff. I'm running around. I had to stop the review halfway through and start up again. A lot of stuff going on here. No excuse, but I'm just saying, like, you know, I'm all over the place. I'm going back and forth, beginning and end, just to kind of give you all the information, you know what I mean? DBS Chronicles provided some translations about all this stuff. So basically, yeah, MIRA, TOA, Fu are all aligned, and like I said, Vegito Blue and Fu, some good parts of the fight, some good animation, some bad parts. Most of it looked decent, though. There was a couple of really good cuts here, especially the fast stuff between Fu and Vegito. And then at the end of the episode, what ends up happening is the universe tree begins to die, because the gods of destruction summon the super dragon, like I mentioned earlier, and they wish to destroy the roots of the tree. So the tree's falling apart before everybody's very eyes, and it looks like Vegito Blue didn't move fast enough, but the gods of destruction took care of it. So it looks like this arc is possibly on its way to ending, although there's supposed to be some other stuff, like, for example, there was talk of Super 17 coming back, and maybe that's just going to be in the manga version or in the video game version, but that hasn't really been hinted at that I've seen in this episode. That may just get cut out entirely. We'll see, but it looks like with the universe tree falling apart, you would assume that this arc, this Big Bang mission arc, is probably going to be either coming to an end or something else will happen, because obviously Fu would have to figure out some way to either bring the tree back or do something with it. Plus, you know, we have the birds, and there's still some unresolved issues here. Overall, for a Heroes episode, it was better than I was expecting. Nowhere close to the quality of a better Dragon Ball, I guess you can say, or a better show overall. I've seen some people say after Chapter 65 of the Dragon Ball Super manga that they think Heroes is better. I think the Heroes manga, possibly, but I don't know, man. Heroes is just too wonked out to really be better. I know that the Toyotaro thing was controversial, but I don't know, saying Heroes is better, that's a bit of a stretch if you ask me. But if you think so, I mean, look, whatever you like. Everyone's entitled to like whatever they like. I actually didn't hate this episode at all. For a Heroes episode, it was one of the better ones. So that's all we can hope for. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you felt about this episode, and we'll talk soon.